The energy right now feels very uncertain. There's a lot of transitions going on right now that feel very unknown. And as I was drawing out these cards, it almost feels as though there's a portal that you've yet to step into, but it feels within your reach. And there's a lot of uncertainty and confusion around whether it is within your reach, if that makes sense. So we're going to look at this more in detail in a moment, but these three cards that I've pulled out really feel interconnected in terms of you're wanting a transformation within your life that feels within reach, but yet it's not within reach. And this feels quite uncertain, and you don't really know what the next step is to take. And you may be feeling that you're in a lot of darkness at the moment and a lot of energies that are not really making sense. And the silver card really encapsulates that unknown, that uncertainty, that yearning for wanting to step into that portal, but that feeling out of reach. So I'm going to pull out some oracle cards to find out more about this energy of uncertainty. So let's see what's going on for you. So we've got connect, we've got shadow, and we've got balance. So it's really interesting that the shadow card has come out, because that really is what's embedded within these three cards here at the top. And it feels very much so that, again, you're wanting to connect to the new timeline. And it's almost as if Spirit is saying that there needs to be some more balance. But it's unclear what the balance needs to be, which again goes back to the silver card in terms of how do I get to the new timeline? How do I step into the new portal? And it's interesting because the prayer sounds as though that is exactly that. The prayer is you wanting to go into the new timeline, but yet there's an imbalance. And it seems as though the imbalance may be due to the shadow, almost an unwilling, not an unwillingness, but an apprehension of wanting to step into certain parts of the shadow because they feel so unknown. And even these three cards, they're interconnected, because it sounds as though Spirit is saying that in order to step into more of an equilibrium or more of a balance, there needs to be a connection to the shadow part of you. So let's find out more about that. So I'm just going to get the tarot for this. This is interesting. So we've got the World, we've got the Two of Wands, and the Star. So, in essence, what's happening here is that there's a lot going on around you that's almost a distraction from you connecting into the shadow. So, a lot of worldly events going on around you. You may feel that you're getting yourself really lost in terms of the events around you that are fueling all of this chaos of the unknown, which is almost a distraction for you to connect to your shadow, which in the long term will help you to find the balance. But it's interesting because for you to step into the shadow, that's where the alchemy lies, for you to step into the new timeline and the new portal, whatever that looks like for you. Part of that I'm getting is romance, relationships. The other part is the internal. So it's almost like a union that you want to be at peace within yourself, but also you want that to be mirrored to you in the form of a relationship. And that is definitely on the cards with the World card here. It's not just limited to one aspect. It's multi-dimensional. The portal is multi-dimensional. So I'm sensing a lot of apprehension in terms of stepping into the internal in order to connect to the shadow. So it may be that your past experiences have really shaped whether you want to step into your shadow or not. And I'm getting that with the Two of Wands in terms of, although things may have transpired positively for you in the past when it comes to relationships or other things within your life, there's apprehension and there's doubt whether you want to have those sorts of opportunities again. Again, the new timeline covers all of those opportunities, but there's a sense of apprehension because there's a sense of unreadiness. And again, this goes back to the connection to your shadow. But it is in the cards that you will be stepping into it, as identified with the Star card. It's just, it's almost like a transition phase that feels very blurry and uncertain at the moment. So how do we get past that uncertainty? How do we reconnect to that shadow part of you in order to step into that new timeline? Let's pull out another tarot card to clarify that. Ten of Pentacles. Okay, so what I'm getting here is that your intuition is going to be the driving force that will allow you to reconnect to the shadow, as opposed to your mind trying to, almost there's this sense of the more energy you give in trying to make something happen, the further it's pulling you away from connecting to your shadow, because you want to get to this new timeline which covers everything that you want, the wealth, the family, all of the blessings that you are looking for within the new timeline and that you're praying for. But what I'm getting through this message is that it's not going to come with the amount of energy you're spending on the force on trying to make it happen. It's more so the internal work of being guided by your intuition, of letting it guide you on what needs to be more balanced, if that makes sense. So, for example, when we're reconnecting to the shadow, perhaps there's a part of you that feels that, you know, I need to have everything figured out. I need to have my whole life figured out. I need to really put a lot of energy into making sure everything makes sense or is logical, or that I'm doing things in the external world in order to get to my happily ever after. But Spirit is saying that it's more so the internal guiding of the intuition as opposed to external. And that's not to say that that doesn't also play a part, but from what I'm getting from the reading, there's an imbalance of how much you're trusting your intuition over how much energy you're expending on trying to get to the new timeline and where you want to be. And it's not easy because there's a lot of layers to the uncertainty. And that goes back to this period of this transition that you're going through. But that's part of the alchemy of reconnecting to your shadow in order to get to the new timeline, in that it's not going to feel comfortable, but it is possible. So this is quite beautiful how the world and the star has come out, because it's showing you that regardless of the external events, regardless of what's going on in the world, that doesn't negate your power, your spiritual power, to eventually get into the new timeline and to manifest those blessings that you deserve. So on that note, I'm going to pull out a card for the opportunity here, in terms of you focusing on your intuition, you focusing on that inner voice to guide you to where the work needs to be done, as opposed to focusing a lot on what the logical mind might be saying, which is rooted in fear. Well, okay, so surrender to receive, which is really embodying the overall message here, that it's okay to surrender. By surrendering, you'll be doing the inner work, the shadow work. By surrendering, you're stepping into that rebalancing, that connection to yourself in order to get to that timeline. And by surrendering, when you allow your intuition to guide you to the work that needs to be done, you will eventually get to the Ten of Pentacles, where you'll step into the new timeline, but not by force. That's what I'm hearing, not by force, but by your intuition and your spirit guiding you. So this is quite beautiful, because surrender to receive is not really saying that, this is going to be an easy process. And I'm sure you can relate to that in terms of the uncertainty in this transition period that you're in, whereby you might be going through a lot of difficult emotions, and surrendering to receive isn't easy. But you have what it takes. You have the alchemical power to do so, to transmute all of this uncertainty and all of this chaos. And the chaos may be due to karmic cycles or past events, past experiences that are not resolved fully for you to step into the new timeline. But the reconnection and the rebalancing needs to take place before you can step into the new timeline, and to face that part of you, the shadow self, to face the uncertainty and what spirit is telling you needs to be resolved within yourself before the prayer is answered, is important. So I hope this message has helped, and I just want you to know that you are loved by Spirit, and the outcome is clear, that you will be stepping into the timeline. It's just the transition period, and you stepping into that shadow part of yourself that will allow you to get onto the new timeline. Okay. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.